Thank you very much, Madam President. I must say that your comments and your introduction make it much easier for me to introduce the report of the Economic and Social Council for the 2025 session. The report, which is available to all of you, in addition to the document which we distributed right after the conclusion of our collective term as a Bureau in the end of July, provides a very good overview of the Council's work, including a range of sustainable development issues. If I may, Madam President, I'd like to take some time to extend my thanks to our excellent Bureau during this session. The Ambassador from Costa Rica, who I know is here, the Ambassador from Nepal, the Ambassador from Poland, and the Ambassador from Equatorial Guinea. We became good friends during this year, which was a very active one. We spent some time listening and learning from each other, and it was a completely enjoyable experience. I'd also like to extend my personal thanks to the teams at the Secretariat, particularly at UNDESA and DJACM, for their invaluable support to me personally and to the Council at large and to the members of the Bureau. It also, I think, although the people who helped me prepare these notes did not mention it, it would only be appropriate if I thank my own team at the Mission of Canada, who are, some of them are sitting in the group there, and I want to just express my strong thanks to them for the great work that they did in allowing us to have such a fruitful and busy year. Just to go over a bit of the rhythm of the year, as you know, ECOSOC is elected in July, but our real sessions don't get really underway until the new year. This is the part of the calendar that is taken over by the General Assembly, so we're a little less busy in the fall, but we really get busy in January, and takes us right through to the end of July. And I know Ambassador Thapa is going to be looking forward to the full blast of that schedule, which is a fascinating one. Let me also say that we had very important milestones, such as the Summit of the Future, the 4th Financing for Development Conference. We marked 10 years of SDG implementation. We hosted the most strongly attended youth forum held to date. And we had the UN Science, Technology, and Innovation STI Week was launched very successfully around the STI Forum this year, and I know that's something that's going to continue into future years. Just to give a few themes that were particularly important to us, the first one was this fundamental question that the UN's work on the economic and social issues of our time need to be much more closely linked in an integral way with the work of the international financial institutions in Washington. When the Bretton Woods were established, they were established at a parallel moment to the establishment of the UN. It was in 1944 and 1945 that these organizations were created. And we need to understand that we each have our jobs, but it does not make any sense for us to be doing our jobs completely separately from each other. We have to connect. And so we've made every effort to connect with the IFIs, with the World Bank, the IMF, and the regional development banks. And that continues to be a priority and has to be a priority for all of us. We had a very successful biennial summit this year, and that was, I think, an expression of the amount of work that really went into building these relationships. We also carried on the work that was started by my predecessor, the ambassador from Chile, looking at AI as a permanent feature of the work of the Economic and Social Council, that we build a discussion about AI and the implementation of AI throughout the UN system as a key part of what we do. And that also meant advancing the SDGs, having some very successful meetings that we've had with the VNRs that have been very positive, and that's all been very good. We've had a chance to do some other things that I think have been important. And you yourself mentioned these, Madam President, in your very helpful report. Forced displacement and refugee issues. We have more people being displaced from home than ever before. We have over 140 million people who are now displaced around the world, and this puts tremendous strain on the humanitarian system, but it also puts strain on issues like migration and education, just to mention two that are key. We continued our focus on Haiti. Canada has the honor of serving as the chair of the advisory committee on Haiti to ECOSOC, so we spent a great deal of time focusing on that question. We also dedicated ourselves to engaging civil society. There is a view in this hall that the United Nations is only an organization of nation states, and that civil society has no right to a place in the discussions that go on here. That was false in 1945. We would not have had the kind of charter that we have if it were not for the participation of civil society in the months leading up to San Francisco and in the San Francisco meeting. And ECOSOC is the key door in which civil society can enter and engage with us. And so it's exceptionally important that we continue to do that. I notice, Madam Chair, that next year, in January, we will be celebrating our 80th anniversary. And I think we all need to take this opportunity to think about how we can strengthen ECOSOC further. There will be an upcoming review of both ECOSOC and the high-level political forum, and we would like all member states to be actively engaged. If you will permit me, Madam President, and I'm not sure there's much you can do to stop me at this point, I'm going to conclude by just making a few personal comments. Some of you will know that I'm stepping down as the Ambassador of Canada in a few days, actually 48 hours, and this will be my last opportunity from the dais to say a few things that I would like to say very much in connection with the work of ECOSOC. The first one, Madam President, you yourself have said, and I want to say it again, this is the Charter of the United Nations. I bring it to the meetings. Some of you will remember, have been around for a while. I often talk about the Charter. There is a lie going around that says that the core issue for the UN is only peace and security, and that everything else is just extra and a frill and doesn't really belong in the work of the UN. That idea is completely false. It's false as a matter of fact, that is to say, economic and social issues have always been part and parcel of the work of the UN, completely integrated into the Charter. ECOSOC is a charter body created in 1945, but it's also untrue for another reason that you, Madam President, have referred to, and that is you cannot get to peace and security if you ignore the economic and social and human rights and rule of law issues which are critical for the work of the United Nations. Human rights are not a frill. Social development is not a frill. Economic growth is not a frill. Tackling poverty and inequality, these are not frills. And most important in our current era, climate change, while not mentioned in the Charter, remains a critical problem for the future of the world, and not just the future, for the present. The second point I want to make is that UN 80 is an opportunity, not just a crisis. In fact, you could argue every crisis is an opportunity. And without crises, sometimes we wouldn't necessarily take advantage of the need to embrace change. But in embracing change, we need to understand that part of the fundamental problem that we face is one that has been created by member states themselves in failing to pay their dues to support the United Nations. In Canada, we have a concept that we call deadbeat dads. What are deadbeat dads? Deadbeat dads are dads that don't pay support payments to their spouses and children. And we have to spend a lot of time as governments in Canada tracking people down and saying, do you know how much money you owe to your family? Do you know how badly off your family is because you're not paying your dues? You're not paying what the court has ordered you to pay? When we all signed up for the Charter, we signed up to pay our dues. We signed up not only to say these are nice words, but to say we will be there in order to pay for the work of the United Nations and in order to pay to what are called assessed contributions. And we have to keep on paying for assessed contributions. We can't ignore the importance of assessed contributions. Thomas Paine wrote in The Crisis in 1776, a great American Democrat. He pointed out that in a time of crisis, the last thing we need are summer soldiers and sunshine patriots. The UN is in a moment of crisis, and we don't need summer soldiers and sunshine patriots. We need countries that are going to be all in. Doesn't mean you have to be all in to say everything's wonderful or that we agree with everything the UN is doing. It means in order to make change, we all have to be contributors to change. But we can't go on with a situation where we're not paying attention to the need for actual contributions and actual participation, and not saying, the UN, as the Secretary General has pointed out, and he's absolutely right, UN is not a cafeteria. You don't walk in and say, I like this, but I don't like that. I like this peacekeeping mission, but I don't like that peacekeeping mission. I'll pay for this, but I won't pay for that. These are core values of citizenship. We don't pay our taxes and say, well, I don't want to pay for this because I don't agree with it. No, you pay your taxes. You pay your dues. And we have to create a culture in this organization where we recognize that paying up and paying in and contributing are actually core to what we do. And that's what allows us to make the reforms that will really matter. Yes, are there too many resolutions that go on and on? Yes. Is there too much duplication in the UN? Yes. Is there even waste in the UN? Yes. But we can't create the framework to actually make the changes unless we're all in, unless we're contributing at every step of the way. The third point I want to make, Madam Chair, is simply to say this. The truth matters. Truth is real. Some things are true and some things are not true. Some things are information, some things are misinformation. Some things are facts, some things are lies. And I've tried to make a point from this podium and in other statements and ways of acting in this assembly to say we should not be afraid to tell things as they are and to be as clear as we can in expressing our differences respectfully, in a mode of civility, but at least having the courage to say these things have to be said. Climate change is real. Human rights are important. Getting away with things, impunity, is a bad thing. Corruption is a bad thing. Criminal gangs are bad things. Terrorism is a bad thing. There are good things and there are bad things. And that's why we need structures of law and structures of enforcement that help make things better. My last point is about courage. Courage is such an important virtue because it's the one virtue that makes the others possible. Courage can be difficult. It means stepping out. It means standing up. It means trying to persuade people who don't agree with you. But the thing we know about courage is that it is infectious. If some stand up, then others will stand up. And that's why it's so critical for us to truly appreciate the importance and the value of courage. Finally, Madam President, and just to say this by way of conclusion, I have so deeply appreciated the opportunity to work with everyone in this hall and to work with all members of the Secretariat and others. It's been a great honor for me to do this over the last 5.5 years. I have deeply appreciated it. Now, my life has been one of exits and entrances, of coming and going. I've had difficulty keeping a job, and so it's one that's been a feature of my life. Upon leaving both the Legislative Assembly of Ontario and leaving the House of Commons in Canada, I ended those two speeches with a quotation from William Shakespeare. And so I checked with my spouse if it was okay to do it again. She said, yeah, I think they'll let you get away with it one more time. So I'm going to read to you Sonnet 25, which is one of my favorites. And this is what it says. Let those who are in favor with their stars of public honor and proud titles boast, whilst I, whom fortune of such triumph bars, unlooked for joy in that I honor most. Great princes' favorites their fair leaves spread, but as the marigold at the sun's eye, and in themselves their pride lies buried. For at a frown they in their glory die. The painful warrior, famous for fight, after 1,000 victories once foiled, is from the book of honor raised quite, and all the rest forgot for which he toiled. Then happy I, that love and am beloved, where I may not remove nor be removed. Thank you all very much, and thank you, Madam President, for this opportunity.
Thank you. I thank the President of the Economic and Social Council for the 2025 session. Dear Ambassador, dear Rob, as you finish your term, as we just learned, in 48 hours, maybe now 47 hours here in New York, we wish you all the best for your future endeavors. Thank you for your work, and as the applause showed, your voice will be missed in this House. All the best.